Welcome to our Zoom meeting. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up? All right, so we are going to,
who's not muted?
Kel Rowan.
Gail, you're loud.
George Steele.
Amber Finley.
All right, so we're gonna go through this, and if you guys could let us know what your steps forward will be, that would be greatly helpful. And that way we'll all know where we are and we'll be on the same page. Oh, I guess we should go around the room for introductions real quick. This is weird. Okay.
Kevin Shooty. Dave Windom. Dean McCallum.
Randy Netherland.
Sharon Trask, and then on the screen we have George Steele, Travis Adams, and others. Frank, Peter, Amber, Lisa, Jim, Patty McGuire, Patsy, looks like the prosecutor, Dan, the coroner, Wes, Loretta looks like Public Works, Sharon, are you clerk? Sharon Fogel?
She's muted. Sharon, are you, okay, just wanted to see, is that Sharon Fogo?
Yes.
All right, we're going to start with the public defender's office. So Peter, could you tell us what your plans are going forward at this stage anyway?
So at this stage in the game, I've encouraged, not requiring my attorneys to do work from home, but I've encouraged it. They all have their tablets and are capable of doing so. Almost all court appearances are currently being done via Zoom, and the tablets are capable of handling that. So that seems to be working out. The office is available for them to use, and they can certainly schedule meetings with clients, but we're trying to limit the public's access. Other than a scheduled meeting with a client, we're not leaving the doors open. We do have 2 staff members that are in the office. They're still doing the filing and sorting the paperwork, but given the narrow hallways in the public defender's office, it's much, much better for them to not have a bunch of attorneys clogging the way. As we move forward, it's my intent that as we get into phase 2, phase 3, that we slowly bring the attorneys back into the office and start opening the office up, at least for limited hours or limited times. We did get a sneeze guard installed. Thank you, Kelly. Helps at the front desk. I can't tell if someone's asking a question or not. There's George in the background.
Hey, excuse me, hold on, Peter. Judge Steele, your mic keeps coming on. Could you please mute?
And then when we call you, please open your mic then. Thank you.
Don's is also.
We're done.
We're done.
Oh, we're done.
Never mind, Don.
So, yeah, that one I need. Anyways, so right now, the attorneys are on essentially a work from home status with their tablets, and the office is not open to the public. And as we progress through the phases, the idea is to start opening that back up and start getting the attorneys back into the office. But as of right now, I'm encouraging them to work from home. I'm not requiring them. So that's what the public defender's office is.
All right, great. Thank you.
And with your permission, I'll log off of this and log on to the other Zoom where I think Judge Goodell is expecting me.
All right, that works.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to the sheriff's office.
Good morning, Commissioner. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Our jail is still on the restrictions that we have, which is in compliance with the rest of the jails in the state of Washington. Chief Hansen has got all the precautions in there that we've always had and will continue with. And our jail booking restrictions are still on, of course. And we do have a litter crew that is going out now. Our staff is back in to the offices. Our civil division, our staff is back. We're limiting our front office to 1 person at a time coming into the front. and taking all the precautions, the standard precautions that we take. But everybody is back here and moving along. Our patrol division has continued to stay the same ever since it started. Nothing's changed there.
Oh, great. Thank you, and we did receive an update from Tammy, so much appreciated, thank you. All right, let's move on to Superior Court. Judge Finley?
Morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good to see you guys too. This is weird. I don't like looking at myself when I'm talking. But I tell you that Superior Court is doing all of its hearings currently by using Zoom. We purchased 3 Zoom accounts. We have, we're able to do it because we have a fantastic staff. As you know, the meeting has to be hosted, and that is done by one of our staff members, who then stays on the line with us while we do the entire calendar. She does that, so they do that, so they can help us with getting the names listed instead of phone numbers. And also, we have to monitor because we use, for example, one Zoom meeting could blend into another one, and so we trying to keep timely with that, and our staff has been very helpful in doing that. We are all separated. As you can see behind me, I'm in a room with nothing. And I have essentially one other person who's in another room where I am. And so I end up each day maybe seeing 1 or 2 people at most. Currently, we are trying to move towards using, we think, we'll be able to use the courtrooms in June or July. As you know, we are guided by what the Supreme Court of Washington tells us to do. And we have had a few orders, and the last one has talked about being able to do in-person hearings, provided you have all the health department requirements in place, including the social distancing. So we have talked with, I know that Ms. Loughlin has spoken with people regarding putting up some more plexiglass, perhaps in our courtroom, so the judge is separated from people, and also from the witness as well as from the clerk. In at least one of our courtrooms, there is not enough distance between the clerk and the judge. The public has been very receptive to this. They have called in. We have not had issues. We are working with trying to be able to do, as I said, in-person hearings, hopefully within the next month or 2. Supreme Court said that jury trials could start in July. So we've been meeting with other people regarding that to see if we can set up the ability to do a jury trial in July, July-ish, that's what I would say at this point. And it's very detailed. We need to make sure that the public is safe. We need to make sure that the staff remains safe. You should know that when I say that we've been up and running, we have been running since this started. And that includes the therapy courts. They're doing their meetings with people by video or by telephone. The hearings are done by Zoom, by our commissioner. And our facilitator has been very active. She gets lots of calls, and we've been doing many matters that she has helped set up. And her information is still on the website. So it's a lot. It really is a lot. It's challenging, but like I said, I'm very grateful. We wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for the great staff I have.
Right.
And the support, so thank you.
You're welcome.
One more thing, I'm sorry. We are needing, if we're going to move forward, one of the things we're going to need is masks. So that is something we definitely need to make sure that we have.
Right. I spoke to Judge Goodell last week and sent a message on to the governor's office to see what their suggestions are to move forward on that one. So I'll let you guys know when I hear something back from them.
Thank you. Like I said, we appreciate the support we've gotten, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Dave, do you have any thoughts on?
I did interrupt there 1 second. I have ordered the plexiglass for all the courtrooms. They're actually picking it up now, and I should have it installed by the end of the week.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly.
You're the best, Kelly. Any questions
I was just going to see if Dave had any comments on masks.
for the PPE?
Well, the way it works through Instant Command is we supply Tier 1 first. So for incident command, we supply tier 1 first, and that's EMS, hospitals, first line providers. It does not extend down into the county. So county offices will have to find their own sources of masks.
All right, so I'll let you know when I hear back from the governor's office as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, district court. Judge Still?
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Wow.
What I can tell everybody is we have stayed open through this thing from 8 to 5 until last week, beginning of last week. We had split our staff into 2 shifts. So that one, it works out, they essentially alternate the days when they'd be here, so we don't want to be half people here at any given time. But that's changed since the Supreme Court has loosened it up a little bit because we have more going on. The public access is still 8:30 to 4:30, although we are controlling the number of people that can come in to that area with security and what have you, to come up to the counter. So people can and always have been able to come in and pay fines, file orders of protection. Other court visits, any other court visits cannot be done by email or U.S. mail. Court hearings for most of this time have been fairly restricted, but we have been using Zoom to start bringing those up again. And one change, which I'm grateful for, with the Supreme Court, is they authorize, at least on an emergency basis, certain cases that can be heard instead of having to wait for the arraignments to be 45 days after charging. So we are hearing next judicial day, DUI charges. We're hearing domestic violence and violations and court orders, protection orders, things along those lines are heard at 10 a.m. unless you're in custody. In which case we normally hear those at 11:30. We have made use of Zoom, and we have it set up on our website that anybody who wishes to listen in, in other words, keep the meetings as open as possible, can join in. Thus far, I would tell you we've had a grand whopping total of 1 person actually want to spend their time watching court. But it is there, and the law says to the extent we can, we have to have it. For in-person court hearings, when we do have them, security is only allowing the person to come down with an attorney. If for some reason they're under 18, and there's a few cases where someone between 16 and 18 can go to district court, they can go down with a parent as well. So at this point, we're doing everything somewhat, with the exception of jury trials. We're not going to be doing any jury trials before July 6th, and I'm not prepared to think that it's going to be opened up to start doing jury trials at that time. It might be, but I'm not convinced that's going to happen at this point. We do need to get ready for it. I'm anticipating there'll be further extensions, but I have been wrong before, so we'll see what happens. Mitigation contested hearings are being held by Zoom. We do have courtrooms, and we are only running 1 courtroom, so we don't have to have 2 courtrooms to keep wiped down and sanitized. And right now, Judge Breer is handling the protection order calendar, and I moved the mitigation contested, so this afternoon we don't have much going on this afternoon anyway. Zoom works out fairly well for a lot of hearings, so regular pre-trials, mitigation hearings, things along those lines. It's not so good when there's what I'll call serious litigation with lots of witnesses or lots of exhibits. And we're having some issues, particularly with cases where people are pretty much pro se, which means they're not represented, not really following what we're asking them to do, which is send the identical set to the other side of the exhibit so we can know which exhibits we're talking about and what have you. But we're working on it. We are anticipating that when this does get lifted, our calendars are going to become very large, and we'll require the 2 courts. Jury trials, we're gonna have some issues. We have reduced the seating in LO1, which is our main courtroom, from about 40 to about 6, to keep them far enough apart and limiting the number of people that can be there. And to select a jury, one of the things we have to be able to do is have a jury panel there so that I can ask, general questions, they can be asked questions and what have you. And how we're going to resolve that is a work in progress. I have made at least some inquiries to see if possibly we could utilize City Hall for that. That may or may not happen. We are letting municipal court use our courtroom in the afternoon for in custody cases because their video is not working because of the demand on their internet connections with all the people who are working via internet now. So those are going to be challenges for us. And one area that we still need to work on, and I've had objection there, a reasonable objection, is the interpreter calendars. We need to have a means for the interpreters to be able to be present so the attorneys and clients can have communications with them. And they have to be confidential communications. So right now, last week I had the interpreter cases come in with the idea that unless there was a settlement right then and there, they were ready to present, it was going to be reset till after June 1st. And that's what happened to most of them, because we don't really know what's going to be happening via June 1st. So that, in a nutshell, the nutshell of my ramblings is what we're doing down here. It's a challenge, we're hanging in there. I want to echo what Judge Finley said about her staff. I say the same thing about mine. They're all digging in and getting the job done under what are not the easiest circumstances, and I do appreciate it.
Great, thank you. I think we all have we're a great team, I think, at Mason County. So thank your employees for us too.
I will do so.
Okay, any questions? No. All right.
Then I will mute myself, but people would prefer I do more often.
No comment. Plead the fifth.
We will mute ourselves.
All right, how about the prosecutor's office?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay? I'm trying not to get on Tim's back.
Just don't sit on his lap, we're good.
He's always on my back.
So I guess I'll just run through real quick, I'll try to be real quick. We have, from about the 23rd or 4th of March, whenever it was that, what day was that, Tim? We were on for most of the office on a rotating schedule to try to keep the concentration in the building down and the concentration on the roads down, with attorneys being able to work from home and staff being basically on call during those days that they're not here. We've all since come back in the building and that's with the exception of Tim and Darcy and I have pretty much been here every day. In many ways, with these different slowdowns, it's somehow been, I think, probably the busiest that we've been in 10 years, it feels like. But we're back in the building. Pretty much everybody's workstation is isolated and with some level of separation from everybody else. We do our best to maintain social distance. Our office is still open from 8 to 5. We've limited staff use, prosecutor staff use of the lobby, the regular front door and the public lobby. So we're all using, with very few exception, the employee-only door, leaving the lobby area for the public to come in. We've got a place for them to drop papers off where we can later gather them and scan them and then box them until later. And then we wipe down all the surfaces after somebody from the public came in, and we regularly wipe down the building. But other than that, other than learning how to do things differently, court's been by Zoom. All of our internal staff meetings have been by Zoom or otherwise electronic. We've got people periodically at least attorneys able to work from home. Staff really needs to be able to have access to the county network, and there are very few VPN licenses, so they don't really have that ability, but all of our cases are securely maintained on a web accessed software that the attorneys can use from home. And so we continue to manage, doing our best to not really interrupt services, but learn how to do things in new ways and keep staff and the public as protected as we can.
All right, great. Yeah, I think it's a learning process for
Yeah.
all of us. Any questions? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the assessor. I see you in the background there. Hi, Lisa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Well, our computers have been on the fritz since the 30th on tax day, and IT's been trying to work to rebuild a few of our computers. But basically, since the shutdown, we sent staff home the first 2 weeks, and Vicki and I and Russ were here with one other appraiser and one other clerical would pop in and catch up her stuff. So now after the 7th, everybody was back every other day until the 4th of this month. So all of our staff is back. There's 13 in the office. Appraisers go out in the morning. I got them coming in at 7, so they're supposed to be gone by 8. But everybody's got a wall between them. The front counter has the new plexiglass along with they're over 6 feet apart. We're just trying to wipe things down a lot, and we're not open to the public yet. So we're still doing, when they call down front, we run down front and meet the taxpayers if needed. Otherwise, it's been through email, mail, phone. And it's been, the first 2 weeks when we were shut down, it was extremely busy. So yeah, it was kind of crazy, but with Vicki and Russ, we got it done. So we're hanging in there. So I don't know when we'll open to the public. We got to talk with Lisa and the other Patty.
Right.
So, but yeah, the appraisers are still going out in the field. They're not supposed to make contact with the taxpayers. I mean, if they come out, they just tell them why they're there. I mean, they should know why they're there. Mm-hmm. And they said everybody's been pretty respectful, and they're fine with them so far. They haven't got yelled at by anybody. No. So far so good. We're rolling along. We're getting the revals over almost 70% done. So I don't see we're not really falling behind. So hopefully we'll be on track.
Great.
To be done earlier than last year.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, any questions? No. All right, Lisa, since you're in the frame, how about going for it?
Sure. So all of my staff is back. Obviously, when this all started, we split the staff and we're working from home or on leave and splitting our time. They're all back with the exception of one who is still telecommuting 3 days a week. But she's coming in every Tuesday and Thursday. So that's where we are. We're open for phones between 8 and 4:30. We're answering the phones. We're available by appointment for those that come into the lobby downstairs and call up. This all happened during tax time, so obviously we were extremely busy. And we had a lot of taxpayers that were upset that they couldn't come pay in person, but we managed to get them to drop them in the drop box or mail them. So we're all in the office. We're catching up on all the things that didn't get done while we were processing property tax statements. And those are done. The drop box is still open downstairs, and we're still asking taxpayers to use that as much as possible. I think our issues moving forward, my staff is all mostly 6 feet apart. We've installed plexiglass. We're wiping everything down. We're practicing our social distancing as much as possible when we're in the hallways. Our concerns about opening obviously depend on when the county opens the building to the public, for one thing, and then how do we get this, customers from downstairs upstairs without overwhelming our small area. Facilities has been awesome in getting us some signs and some ropes and roping stuff up and making sure, but we still have an issue with how we're going to get those downstairs upstairs without overcrowding. So that's kind of where we are and when we will open back to the public.
Right, I think government is in phase 3,
Right,
so we have a few more phases to go.
exactly, exactly. But we're managing, our phones are ringing off the hook. We had a snafu with the postal service. They sent, I don't know, probably a couple thousand tax papers back to the customers. saying
I heard it over and over and over again.
So we had to deal with that on top of everything else. So we are still getting some tax payments in that are being returned to us a second time. But we are processing them as they come in. But the bulk of the mail is done and we'll go on to other things, so.
Great. All right, any questions?
I got a comment, something for us to think about. I understand you are of all people in the middle of everything up there on the top. When somebody comes through, they're coming through your area to go to either one of the directions. I'm wondering if we couldn't consider temporarily having some type of provision for some of your work to be done right here in our lobby, where we have a section that could be plexiglassed off a little bit, and there's room to work in there right here in the front. Just not saying to do it, just something to consider that we all could talk about if it becomes necessary.
And I think that maybe as the phases progress, we'll get more guidance too from the state.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Until we're open to the public, it's really hard to know how much traffic we'll get. I mean, obviously now that tax time's over, it's gonna be slower in our office. We're still doing almost all of our real estate transactions online via simple files, so we're not having the title companies come in daily. It's mostly those individuals that are doing their own transactions that want to come in, and we're making appointments for them. And we have to coordinate that obviously with the auditor's office and their recording. So we're all three offices working very closely together to manage this. But it is going to be difficult, I think, at some point in time. But again, maintenance has done a really good job of giving us some space just for the treasurer's office up here. So if you get a chance, wander up, take a look.
I have, and it looks great. Well, and since we're on the top floor, Patty, do you want to go ahead?
Hi, everybody. To sort of follow on to what Lisa said, I've got a call this afternoon with a company that sells an electronic queue system. So the idea would be we put it possibly in the vestibule, and to come in, you'd say, I'm going to the assessor's office, and you'd get, A27, and there'd be a screen that says now serving A24. And so the idea would be to keep people downstairs, or even better yet, outside, rather than lining up on the stairs where distancing is impossible. And we just have a bunch of choke points upstairs that there's just no getting around. And this clearly was not, the upstairs of this building was clearly not designed with communicable diseases in mind. So here we are. Sort of the same story for us. We're all back on a regular schedule. We are, the phones are going crazy. One of the unintended consequences for us is our postage budget is being completely busted because it's everybody who would come to the counter to get their tabs renewed, we're now mailing those out. The people who are doing those online, we're mailing those out. And so there's postage on every single one of those, which in the past would have been free. It's not anymore. So that's something we're wrestling with. We are accounting for that separately as an additional cost related to COVID, but obviously that's going to be part of our budget, and we're just going to have to wrestle with and keep an eye on. And I don't know what the solution is other than paying the postage. This week is one of our busy weeks. It's candidate filing week. Commissioners, Superior Court judges, a little gentle reminder that you need to file this week. We are encouraging people to do that online. is right there. If people don't want to file online, call us and we'll walk you through the paperwork and then have you drop the paperwork in the Dropbox or in the election Dropbox out front. That's how we're doing it. That's really it for me. You know, we are, this week is one of our busy weeks, and then, you know, it's going to be voting season soon, and the vote renewals are all June 30th, and so that's a very busy time for us. So, you know, that's on the horizon. And, you know, I would guess that we are going to be close to the public, and so, you know, my postage budget is going to be busted even further, but there you go.
I know you've been awful busy. Question? All right, thanks, Patty.
Thank you.
Sharon?
Go ahead.
Oh.
Oh, I thought you said sheriff, sorry.
How about the clerk? Sharon?
Maybe she stepped out. We'll come back.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Sharon,
If you can hear me.
if you're there. That's right.
Hello,
Oh, there
can you
she
hear
is.
me now?
There you are.
Okay, I'm on the phone because I don't have a microphone or
Oh.
camera on my computer, so sorry about that.
No worries.
So we've been closed to the public until today. Today's our first day of reopening for 2 hours. We're open 9 to 11. We are still not processing passport applications, and pretty much if you go to the travel.state.gov site, they're not processing passport applications except for emergency situations. So we've been working really closely with Superior Court and I have individuals that are self-isolating in courtrooms, as like Judge Finley was talking about, that they are just staying in those courtrooms, so because they're more susceptible. So trying to keep them safer. And we have a box out in front of security in the lobby area of the vestibule of the courthouse that people can drop off their documents. And I've also been allowing, per the Supreme Court's order, that they can file electronically, and we've been using our own resources with copy paper to print out documents that people email us. And we've also been accepting filings by fax. So those are the steps that we've taken to try and keep people out of the courthouse. Thanks to Kelly and the maintenance department for getting the plexiglass up in our office. We really appreciate that. So we can go ahead and open our doors. We've got markers on the floor so they can social distance. We've got 2 stations open. So my plan kind of is to maintain just a couple hours a day until probably the end of this month, and then in the next phase of the governor's suggested the rules of maintaining the closure and keeping it that way until we hear further words either from the Supreme Court or from the governor. So I think that's about it.
Well, great. Yeah, we got a copy of your plan also. Wanted to thank you for that too. Yeah, Kelly's doing a great job. Kudos to Kelly and his crew.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Any questions? All right. How about Wes?
Good morning, can you hear me?
Good morning, yes.
Hi. For the coroner's office, pretty much we've not been too much affected by this situation. It's normal operations for us. Takeout only, of course. Can't see me smiling, I know.
You can't see us shaking our head going, he did.
We've had about 60 responses during the February through May 11th timeframe. Most are natural deaths. Heart disease is the #1 killer and still continues to has run its course pretty much everywhere. We have had 8 suicides during this period of time. I was asked whether or not the suicides were related in any way to pandemic, and really after going over each case, I don't see any relationship at all to the pandemic. We're right about average for what we would be during a normal year, if you can call it a normal year for suicide. So don't see that that's been an impact in the county. The PPEs, I had plenty of PPEs. We always exercise universal precautions in the office. We go to a lot of situations where you need to suit up in a Tyvek suit. We always wear gloves. We have masks, booties, everything available to us. Believe it or not, we even carry flea spray in the van because you would not believe the flea situations we go into from time to time in homes and things. So we are well prepared. And I was actually able to donate some of our equipment to the sheriff's office and public health when this all started. I heard Amber say that she needs masks, and Dave Windom, you might want to have something to say about this. I was given quite a big box of masks by Don Twitty the other day. I don't know where they came from, but I don't need them, and I'd be more than happy to donate them if that's possible to Amber's office or any other office that needs them, but I do not need them.
Is that what they're using forever?
It would be for the jury.
Did you hear me okay, Amber,
Yeah.
on that?
I did, thank you, because that would be great, because what we need the masks for would be the public, so when they come in, we would need people to be wearing them, so.
Yeah,
That's possible.
go ahead. So
That's
I
fine
think,
with me.
yeah, the only problem with that is it could be considered gifting of funds. And so that's why I'm asking the governor's office for clarification to see if we can.
Do those come from DEM?
The
You know?
The
No.
PPE,
No, HR bought some for staff. That was
right, HR bought them.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have
Yeah.
some at DEM.
Okay, well, HR, I don't need them, so whatever you would like done with them, that's fine with me. I'll bring them back.
All right, thanks, Wes. And, honestly, I'm really glad that we've not needed your services during this time. Anything above normal.
Same here. I also wanted to add that we have tested a few people, decedents, for COVID, and all came back negative. And the only case that occurred in Mason County, as you know, died in Kitsap County, actually, so my office was not involved.
Right, we sure appreciate you, Wes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Dave.
Okay, so I'm going to turn the first part of this over to Kel. So Kel, are you out there for building and planning?
I am, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so we are closed to the public. We did reopen by appointment for submittals last Tuesday, so the 5th. And the week prior to that, we sent our inspectors out our building inspectors out into the field for the construction sites that are back underway. We have a lot of people teleworking and then popping in as necessary to, use the copier and things like that, picking up permits and dropping them off. But we do have several of us that are working full-time back in the building now. I think there's 6 or 7 of us. So about a third. So we're trying to keep the, just the staff levels down here. So we're all separated and then having people cycle through. So we have 1 planner required to be here each day for dilemma day. We're answering the phone, so our phones are being answered again as of last week. That's 8 to 4:30. We have a sign out front for folks who have submittal appointments and they're able to come in and knock on our door and get service. And then folks who don't have an appointment, they're able to just tear a number, get our email and phone number so they can contact us and get that appointment made. The planners are also doing site pre-inspections out in the field, and we have started our code enforcement activity back up as far as getting out into the field. So I think that covers it.
Question? No? All right, thanks, Kel.
So, and then on the public health side, of course, public health has been running full tilt since this whole thing started. We have added a part-time person in public health to work on tracing, tracking, and that person's also done a crackerjack job with some housing issues we've been working on since the very beginning. We continue to track all cases within 24 hours, so we not only do we get onto them, but we try to have them complete within 24 hours. Working with Dr. Stein and the Board of Health later this morning to push our request for variance up. And we're still doing birth and death certificates at the front counter. People are still bringing in their engineer plans for septic systems, so all that work is continuing to go. Our food inspector is still out there working with restaurants every day. And our on-site septic folks are out in the field as well. So they're doing their things in some ways because the case count is kind of has drifted down. Some of our folks are going back into their grant-funded work and picking those programs back up, so we're back into working our grants. So we're good there. We continue to look for money that would go to the COVID response. We have a consolidated contract agreement that's going to pay for $119,000 in state funds, and then the rest would be federal funds. So we're working that through to help pay for our expenses of public health.
Great. I know you guys have been busy. Dennis,
Yes, we have.
Yeah, appreciate your people too.
Mm-hmm. You got a great team.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, any questions? No? All right. How about Public Works, Loretta?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, had to unmute there. And I've got also Deputy Director Richard Dickinson here. And Mike Collins is out in the field taking a look at a slide repair. So otherwise Mike would be here as well. We are back to full service and everybody back in the office for the most part. We have maybe a handful of folks that are teleworking, not the full week, but maybe 1 or 2 days or so. The office remains closed to the public, except for by appointment, although occasionally we've had a person or two wander up to the front desk and Amy will buzz them in and we assist. I do want to thank Facilities for installing our utility payment box outside and our plexiglass. That's been great in helping us remain open and being able to serve the public. I also want to give a shout out to our finance, HR, and IT folks because they've really worked hard to support not only our department, but other departments in being able to deal with teleworking and providing or continuing services throughout this process. And cannot emphasize enough the hard work that those folks have been providing. So let's see, what else? I would also like to say that we've got 2 cubicles here in the office and also our large meeting room. I'm not sure if that could be useful to anyone in just an interim basis, but there's adequate space and separation, and so if there is a need from another department to put that space to use, please let us know. And let's see, Richard, do you want to just give a quickie highlight of our transfer station?
Transfer station, let's see, hours are still the same. We haven't slowed down a bit there. PPE use it's customary for us anyway. Of course, we've had our spit shields, plexiglass spit shields installed. We did have one get broken, but not that as an accident, and it has been replaced. Anything else I can't really think of it. We really have had no slowdown whatsoever, and I'm expecting commercial loads to start coming in more frequently and have that replace the residential, which has been off the charts. Right. And it's petering off over the last week, so right. It'll be nice to have the commercial loads start coming in again.
I think people have been doing a lot of spring cleaning.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. And we were excited to hear that the litter crew is back at it as well. That will be helpful.
Yes, yes, it will. All right, thank you. Any questions for Loretta? No? All right, Dan, WSU.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
WSU Extension has a county employee as well, so she's been in the office by herself, not open to the public, but maintaining our operations. Weed wrenches have been going off the shelf. People are checking them out and cleaning up their property, just like you are getting litter cleaned up. They're also mitigating noxious weeds as well, which is wonderful. WSU employees need to follow WSU orders, which are stay at home until May 31st until we hear differently from the governor's office. So we've been operating at a distance. All online classes and our Master Gardener programs, our 4-H volunteers, all of that work is being done virtually. We're using Zoom for that significantly. A lot of our educational offerings that were face-to-face have gone virtual. Our plant sale is being worked on with the Master Gardeners to be announced relatively soon what the plan is for that. Summer camp programs have been canceled and moved to a virtual presence. Once we do get the word that we can go back to the office, we do have enough space to manage that effectively with the social distancing requirements, masks and all that type of thing as well. It's been relatively busy, surprisingly, with the online platform that we were able to move towards lots of plant identification requests, insect requests, and things like that. And our Not Just Weed program is actually out in the field mitigating plants as well.
Great, what a new adventure, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Jim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So for us, it's been somewhat business as usual. Our lobby on the probation side is closed, but we still are doing appointments as needed with individual kids, families. Just depends on what the case needs. Because we're still supervising these kids that are out there. If we have any type of violations or anything that's going on, we're using the Zoom meetings and the court system. So some of the stuff we're dealing with as it happens, and some stuff that's being set out until we can actually have court hearings. And so we're just kind of learning as we go with that. Our office here, we've got enough space where staff have been able to be separated. We've got some staff that work from home from time to time, depending on if they need to write reports, that kind of stuff. But it's not any kind of set schedule. It's just as needed. But I'd say for the most part, most of us are here on a regular basis. We do have somebody on a modified work schedule, working 410s. And so what I see moving forward is, when the lobby does open up, like everybody else has said, a big thank you to facilities for getting some plexiglass up and some markers on the floor, and we'll be practicing the social distancing. But until then, we'll still just be working the cases like we normally work. Detention, we've been pretty much operating as normal over there. Probably the same as the jail. We've got to be prepped and ready to deal with not only COVID-19, but Hep A, B, C, AIDS. Anything can be going on 365 over there, and so our staff, have to be protecting themselves and protecting others in there anyways. And so, really, the change has been is that school for a little while was not happening as the school district was kind of getting their ducks in a row, and so now we've got Zoom classes happening for the kids over there. Teacher is able to come in, I believe, once a week just to get some face-to-face time. And so that's a little bit of a change of practice. Certainly all of our hearings are happening via Zoom, which actually has been pretty cool. Not having to take a kid and walk them outside, potentially in the weather, parading them around in an orange jumpsuit in front of the community, walking over to the courthouse. We have had some issues of kids, buddies and friends and family members would be outside, hooting and hollering at them as they're going into court. We're kind of, not having to deal with that, which is a good thing. And so I think it's going to be interesting coming out of this to see what processes maybe can continue that we've been able to use while this is going on. The only other minor change that we have is, we historically have done what we call a book and release for misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors, other than DVs. Any domestic violence, we hold those kids, but other than that, those misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors, we would do what we call as a book and release. So the kid would be there, get printed, get them into the system, and then we start having contact with family to have them come pick them up, and then we would schedule the court date out in the future. And to limit the amount of kids coming in and contact with our staff contact with them, and then certainly, sheriff and police, having to run them down to our facility. We're just doing those all administratively now. That'll be something that we might go back to that practice as things kind of open up. But at this point, our book and releases are all done administratively, so law enforcement can stay out in the field, just file their report through the normal processes and have the court happen without that kid having to come to detention. But for the rest of the cases, all the felonies, that kind of stuff, we're just business as usual and practicing our distancing there in the facility itself. So that's pretty much what we're doing. So I don't know if you guys have any questions on that.
Question? No? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Frank?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Let me start off by letting everybody know I'm still teleworking. The Commissioner's administrative support staff, including the switchboard, continue to provide full in-person service, except that we're closed to the public. The hours are between 8 and 5 Monday to Friday. HR. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, we were just hearing some music in the background.
Uh-oh. HR has regular hours between 8 and 5. They're closed to the public except by, they are open to staff for appointments. Facilities had no change from prior or before COVID. And they have an outside contractor going around the county, wiping down public access areas. IT, all staff are back to normal. DEM has been working full force since the start of the pandemic. Parks, the bathrooms remain closed. Parks, however, are open, parks and trails. Playgrounds, toys remain closed. Picnic shelters remain closed. The baseball fields remain closed. And there are no team sports allowed in parks. Fishing is approved but limited to family members in a boat. Non-family fishing is limited to 2 persons with social distancing. And hunting for wild turkey and spring black bear is with permit and license only.
I know where to go hunt for wild turkey.
And that's about it.
Any questions? we're just laughing about the wild turkey.
That's how it was written.
That'll work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Jack Daniels sees it.
Great.
As Patty McGuire takes a swig of something like that.
Patty, did you catch a wild turkey?
Yeah.
All right, do we have any questions? Did I leave anyone out?
I have a question for Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, can you hear me? Tim Whitehead? I'm sorry, that's just funny. Hey,
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, we can hear you.
you know, currently we provide hand sanitizer, toilet paper, paper towels, flyers, mailers, and even paper forms to people that are in color that could be at least 10 cents to 50 cents a piece. That's not considered a gifting of funds. Is there a baseline that of value where that begins to be an issue?
No, there's no baseline of value, and I don't really see anything that I've heard today. I don't see an issue with gifting of public funds. I certainly can see that there's consideration that the county's getting by giving these out, which is safety, and all the roads that leads down. And it sounds like we're buying those things and giving them to the county folks to use and folks that are interacting with the county. I don't really see an issue with gifting of public funds at all.
So you're okay with moving forward on that as it comes around?
Yeah, I am, yes.
I feel like it would be covered under the protections for the poor and infirm.
Yeah, me too. All right, thank you, Tim. That's what we're gonna do. So, Your Honor, we're gonna go ahead and try to get those sent over to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Can you get hold of Ross and see if we've got some over there that we can send over as well?
Yeah, no, that's not tier one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the juries aren't starting yet
Right.
anyway.
Right.
So I think
And we can do
it's when the
starter
juries
supply.
start. So if they start having jury trials in June,
Right.
then that's when they're gonna need them, right, Amber?
Right now, the Supreme Court has said jury trials would start probably they're saying not until July 6th.
Wow.
But we are thinking that possibly in June, there would be some potentially civil non-jury trials or dependency non-jury trials. That's a possibility in June. And that would be some people in the courtroom.
So that's
primarily,
really-
though, our request for masks is for the jury trial, but we're told right now from the Supreme Court those will not start until July.
Okay.
But it still would be good to have them for any type of personal interaction you may have with the public. And if Wes is willing to donate those over to you, I really think we should take advantage of that situation and bring it up to your office.
Yes, I would like that, thank you.
And I think during this time, we also have to track where they're going so that we can, so that when we get audited, we've got a flow chart. So Wes, if you could check with Tammy out at DEM and let her know, that would be cool. Right?
If you're still there, Wes.
If not,
Are
we'll
these
have
the
Tammy.
same- is it
We'll
the
have
same as
Tammy.
the ones that HR, are we talking about
Those are the HR masks.
the ones that HR provided?
So
I
those are
believe
not tracked.
those were provided by HR.
And those are the ones that Wes was offering
cloth
up.
ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those did cost.
Yeah, that's
I
a
think
different.
They were $8 a mask, I think.
Oh.
Is that right? Yeah. Amber, we'll discuss it and get right back to
Yeah,
you,
what-
along with
Okay.
Tim, and we'll get
We'll try-
DM on this too.
We'll try and figure a way to get you some of those other types of masks. These other cloth ones wouldn't work for what you're doing anyway, because who's gonna wash them?
You're thinking surgical ones.
Yeah.
This is Jim.
Yeah.
Your Honor, we haven't talked about this, but, we could utilize the washing machines over detention and come up with something if we needed to.
Yeah, the liability with staff by giving them something that has been, that we are.
Let's discuss this
Yeah.
a little bit longer. And so we have until June?
We have some time, I'm not thinking, clearly this is just an educated guess on my part, because I don't know what phase we'll be in June. I mean, well, remember what the governor had said, he says he's gonna do this, but all of a sudden, if we have this spike, who knows what's gonna happen?
Right.
So, we're guessing probably June for doing the non-jury trials.
Okay.
So what I would need is an estimated burn rate.
And that would be.
And thank you, Jim, for the request to use the facilities. The trials that would be pressing, of course, would be the Tennessee's. They have a priority.
And Ross, we'll figure something out. But
Okay.
they're gonna want to come in by their own.
And Tim too. Well, and I want to hear back from the governor's office as also, because there may be something out there that we're not looking at,
Okay.
where we can provide those masks.
Okay, I appreciate the involvement of everybody here to try to make this happen. Thank you.
Yeah, great team, right?
Yes.
And you need to establish the funding of these masks, because it's gonna be ongoing, that's what
Right.
we talked from.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's 67 million coming in, but it's all for tier 1.
Yeah.
We can order ourselves right now, 50 masks for $25. They would come in, June 18th.
The surgical.
Yeah, surgical.
Yeah, Tammy's got a good supply source too.
Yeah, as long, well, we should be ordering them
Oh, we are.
soon
So-
enough to where we have enough to do this.
Yeah.
Ridgeline, or Ridge Motorsports has a great contact for masks.
Oh, okay.
So we'll run that down.
Okay.
But this comes out of 50 cents a piece, so
Yeah.
it should come underneath our level.
Right. Okay. Anything else? Does anybody have anything else?
We're gonna talk about the budget line.
Yeah. Anybody have questions about the budget letter? No? So we're good? All right. Yeah.
Have a great day, everybody.
All right, thank you, guys. Don't go away, Frank.